going to share screen. Okay. All right, I am going to welcome our panelists to our session all about the coalition application. And for everyone joining us, I just want to quickly let you know, my name's Erin. I'm a facilitator and a happy member of Missouri ACAC. And your camera and your mic are both off, but you can add your questions to the Q&A at any time during the webinar, which will last 45 minutes. And if you are attending this one and maybe missing another session you're interested in, videos, the recordings of these sessions will be posted to the Missouri ACAC website for your viewing. And you can also sign up for more sessions that you might be interested in there. And having said that, I'm going to welcome everyone and let our speakers take it away.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. It's officially after 5. My name is Emma Adebayo. I work at Washington University in St. Louis, and we're going to begin sharing our presentation, but I'm going to allow my colleagues to quickly introduce themselves as well.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there. I'm Shawnee Lenore Jenkins, and I am the Vice President of Enrollment at Maryville University.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Hannah Steinbrenner. I am our coordinator of campus visits and a counselor from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We're going to go ahead and kind of dive right on in. And so we're here today, of course, to talk to you about the coalition application. We know that it might be a newer application for many of you, and we of course want to assure you that we accept other types of applications so you can submit whatever works best for you. But we wanted to make sure we spend some time talking about the parts of the application and why we all have chosen to be one of the 150 plus member coalition schools, and our kind of shared values, as well as many of the free resources available in the coalition platform. And some tips just to help you move through and get through that application. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about the parts of an application. So these are all things listed here that could be required in any application that you are submitting to a college or university of your choice this year. So please know and understand it is not a full exhaustive list, but these are some of the things that you will likely see. So of course, the application. Another thing I always like to point out, activity sheets or resumes. Again, not every school is going to necessarily require a resume. They may have an extracurricular section for you to fill out. But again, these are just some popular things that you might see, as well as short answer questions. So we know many of you have been spending the summer writing your essays, of course, but sometimes schools will ask you to provide maybe a shorter and sweet response, maybe 150 words or so, 200 words, to a short question that they are asking you. On the next slide, I'm actually going to talk very briefly about the things that WashU is looking for in terms of required parts of the application and then things that are optional. And so there you can see many of the things that were listed on the previous slide are in fact required items for WashU. In terms of letter of recommendations, we specifically require 2, but students do have the ability to submit 1 additional letter, so a total of 3 for admission purposes. But I always encourage students to remember quality over quantity. And then of course, we're asking for your high school transcripts, something that's new this year for WashU. Depending on the application you choose, we might ask you to share your courses that you have taken and the grades that you have earned over a 3 semesters or 3 years, or 3.5 going on 4 year period. But you may notice on the optional side, some things that are optional for candidates. So the resume being one of those things. We hope that students are going to utilize all of the space within the application to fill out and share with us the things that you do outside of the classroom, and then standardized test scores. WashU is test optional for students looking to join the class of 2025 or the fall of 2021. So students are not required to submit a standardized ACT or SAT test scores. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Hannah to share a little bit more about the University of Illinois.
All right, and so as you can see here, our list is pretty similar, but there are some differences like there are with any college application. So one thing to note about our required list of what we need is everything can be submitted in the application itself. Okay, so there's really no supplemental documentation that we need or we require from you. All of these required items can be submitted through the application itself. So we have the application, an application fee of $50 or a fee waiver. And if you qualify for a fee waiver, just let your counselor know and they can assist you with that. An essay, extracurricular involvement, and then all of your self-reported courses and grades you completed throughout high school thus far. So like many schools, we are joining those of being test optional this year. So if you have an ACT or SAT score, you can submit it to be considered with your application, but it is by no means required and it won't disadvantage you to not submit one this year. I just want to highlight something that is kind of a new addition to our application as well that is optional, is that there will be a space to talk about how COVID has impacted you. As we know, it's impacted all of us. And so there is a separate space on our application to talk to us about that. So within the essay, you can really focus on what we're asking and not taking up any space about that within that essay so you can stay on topic there. But that is about it and what it takes to complete our application. And I'm going to transition over to Shani now.
Like Hannah and Emma mentioned, the good thing about this process is the majority of our applications are going to be really similar. So as you're filling out multiple applications, but all of us will have a little something different that may be unique to our institution. So Maryville's application is fairly simple. Required components, the application. We do take a holistic review approach. So we're looking at your extracurricular involvement. We want to get to know you as a person. And then we have the high school transcript are required. Maryville is actually going into our 5th year of being test optional. So we've been doing that for a while now. But if you would like to submit your test scores because you do feel like it reflects you academically, you're more than welcome to do that. But you won't be penalized if you don't, and it will not be part of the review process. So again, as you guys go through this and you get nervous about filling out the application, don't be. They're going to be all really, really similar. And then we'll talk about obviously the benefits of the Coalition app being one of those apps that you can complete for multiple schools. So I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Hannah, who's going to kind of talk about the application types.
I'll mute myself there. All right, so as you can see, even from our 3 applications, there are a lot of overlap within them and what we require and what we look at for all students to submit to us. Yes, there are those differences, but a lot of those items are similar from institution to institution. So when it comes to filling out applications, there's a few things to keep in mind within that. Yes, many schools do have their own individual application. Here at Illinois, we do have our own application, for instance, called My Illini, but we are on the Coalition application as well. So that's just something to keep in mind, is that there might be multiple options when it comes to applying to a school. So it could be something to look into. One that you might be most familiar with in terms of a common application is the Common App, as there are over 900 schools on that. And so, if you're interested in applying to a few different schools, you may be able to find all of them on one portal, and it will save you quite a bit of time when completing those applications, as there are so many there is so much overlap with those required elements for the application. A few more to look into if you're not as familiar with them are QuestBridge, and again, these can save you quite a bit of time, and obviously the Coalition application, which is what we're talking about here today. So here on the screen, what you see now are, like we all talked about, some of those most common elements of almost all in every college application. So by completing all of this information within one common portal, it will save you quite a bit of time to only have a handful of items to complete for each individual college before submitting your applications. So it can save you quite a bit of time, as this list of things we're looking from you are needed from almost all of us, and then again from many other schools as well. Okay, I'll pass it over to Shani.
Thanks. So, we talked about types of application, and let's go ahead and jump into the coalition itself, the organization itself. While we're all 3 of us excited, and including the 150 schools that are excited to be members of this, it was founded in 2015. As Hannah mentioned, you guys might be more familiar with the Common App. It's been around a lot longer. There's 900 schools, but there is a little bit of difference between the 2 organizations. But it's a diverse group of schools, private and public institutions, U.S. institutions. And these institutions are committed to developing tools to improve access to college, especially for low-income and first-generation students. So there are 3 pillars for the coalition, and I think these are the 3 pillars that mostly attracted, I know, all of us, because they mirror a lot of the values of our institution, right? So the 3 pillars of the coalition for college are access, affordability, and student outcomes. Interesting enough, when schools decide to express interest in the coalition, there are criteria you have to meet to actually become members of the coalition. And most of that criteria is based on these 3 pillars. So obviously access. We want to make sure that students are learning in the most diverse environment they can, because we're living in a diverse world. So the coalition schools are open to students from all different backgrounds, cultural, racial, ethnic, socioeconomic, geographic. We're seeking to engage students from very diverse backgrounds. Affordability is another pillar, and that's another pillar that sort of crosses all of our institutions, our commitment to affordability. The institutions represent a range of public and private institutions who have what we would consider responsible financial aid policies, meaning either they're low cost, or they meet demonstrated need, or they really have financial aid packages that are designed to not have students graduate with a lot of debt. And so those are the commitments. When we signed up, there were these things we had to meet based on our institutional facts before we could become members. And then at the end of the day, student outcomes. What's the most important, right? The most important is graduating and getting a job in the career that you are really excited about. So coalition schools graduate at least 70% of their students within 6 years, which is above the national average. And so that commitment is strong there. And underrepresented students and under-resourced students have a graduation rate of 50% or higher. Those are the numbers we had to show and prove to show that our mission, our vision align with the coalition to become members of the coalition. So that's the difference between some of these, is this organization is really committed to access, affordability, and student outcomes. And now I'll turn it back over to Hannah to talk about the portal itself, the My Coalition.
All right, so now we're really going to get into and kind of break down what some of those items were that we talked about earlier, and really how you can best utilize My Coalition and all the resources available to you on that platform. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's 4 main things that we're going to kind of break down and walk through, and what all this consists of and what all you have available to you when completing or using My Coalition once you create an account. So the first is really talking about the My Coalition counselor piece to that. And again, there are 4: the My Coalition counselor piece, the locker, the collaboration space, and the application itself. So we'll get into, oh, apologies, sorry, I skipped a slide there. So again, I really want to get into talking about the counselor portal first. And this is a great tool for you to go and get good resources and information on all that is shared there. So access to information on financial aid, writing essays, interviews, how to navigate schools in a virtual setting, etc. There are quite a few different good resources for you there to kind of talk about how to navigate this process and really what you should be thinking about during this time of applying for colleges. Okay. That next thing that you should look for and be able to use is that locker. So many applications are already available to start completing, but again, there's still quite a bit of time to do so. So if you haven't started completing those applications yet, that is completely fine. You have plenty of time to do so. But what you can start doing now, and what I would strongly encourage you to do, if you haven't already, or if you're a junior, sophomore, or underclassman joining us, this is also something that would be great for you all to start working on now, so you're not scrambling at the last minute to put all of this together. The locker is a really great place to store all of those documents and resources, what you've done throughout high school, so you're not having to recount everything that you've done in the past 4 years when you sit down to complete the application. As it's easy to forget some of those things, it's much easier as you're doing it, sitting down periodically, kind of going through what you've done and putting it all in one space. So to kind of show you what that can look like, this is what your locker looks like. Again, you can upload and put quite a few different documents in there, resources, anything that you've done or accomplished throughout high school that you want to make sure you don't forget. This is a really good online, virtual platform to store these, so you don't have to worry about losing them, something happening to a paper copy, anything like that. You can kind of keep all of those things in here. So while you're working on applications, it's easily accessible to you. For when that time comes. So again, it's a really great portal to kind of store all of that information as you go through it. Okay. The same with, that locker and collaboration space. You can go here, write your essay, share all of that, but you can also share it from this portal with your counselors, for instance, for them to get feedback. Something that I would really encourage you to do, though, is that every high school might use this differently, or you might have, your own resources from your high school as well. So I would just encourage you to make sure you're connecting and speaking with your counselors to see what resources they have available to you, to know if this is going to be the best tool for you or if there's something better set up within your high school itself. But if My Coalition is something you can use, I think it's a really good, helpful way to kind of share that information and also have it contained all in one space for you.
Like Hannah said, that collaboration space is an awesome space for you to use. All of this is free space. So it is cloud-based. So it goes in the cloud. It is there and easily accessible for you. So we do encourage you, if you're able to and want to feel free to utilize that space. But please do continue to check in with your school counselor just to make sure you are getting information from them and using the platforms that they recommend and work best with your school counselor system as well. But again, I really want to encourage you to take advantage of that collaboration space. The same way you might work on a project with your classmates in Google Classroom is the same way you can use that collaboration space to get support from your trusted advisors, your school counselor and others about the information that you have in there. And again, it is unlimited free storage in the cloud for you. So you can upload other things like videos as well that you might make, or again, writing assignments that you've done and gotten, great feedback on. So your locker is your locker and no one essentially is looking in it until you choose to share details and pieces of it with others by, again, utilizing that collaboration space. On the next slide, it just again quickly shows that collaboration space. And you'll notice there underneath that blue share button, the feedback a student was getting about their personal essay. You'll also see maybe a little tiny text, back to my media. Again, this is your locker in your space. We're able to go into it and store all the things that you want into your locker. And when you want to, you can choose to share individual pieces, again, with others. On the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other things that you can do with that collaboration space. But I, again, just want to re-emphasize, if your school is using platforms like Naviance, My Learning, Score, there are quite a few other ones out there I'm sure I'm missing. Please do work with them to make sure that you do have the most up-to-date platform that they want you to use in terms of maybe accessing things like your transcript and other items. But do know that in that collaboration space, if you choose to share certain materials with us, let's say maybe your transcript is uploaded in there for you by your school counselor, you can choose to share that with schools who are accepting the coalition application. So do know that it can be a resource very similar to like a Naviance and other platforms to help share Parchment, for instance, help share your materials with a college or a university. But again, please do work with your school counselor to make sure that you guys are both using the same system. And so you're all able to see what you have in there and what is being sent to others. On the next slide, here's just kind of a brief snapshot of what it looks like to start that coalition application. So very much white and blue, and you're in the right space, but ultimately it's going to take a couple of minutes. And I do strongly encourage you to create your profile. Your profile, once it is completed, is many of the pieces that will essentially map on over to your future application to any schools that you essentially put on your coalition list. And then say that you want to apply to down the road. On the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about some coalition application tips. And so we know, like we said, that you probably have heard about the Common App. It is a larger platform, and so we just wanted to take some time to kind of highlight the similarities and the differences. Again, you can apply to institutions utilizing whatever application works best for you and your family. And again, no pressure, but we do really love the free resources that the coalition does provide through that My Counselor platform and the overall My Coalition platform. So some of the big differences between the Common and the coalition application, again, is that member size. But as my colleague Shani talked about, the differences is really, again, centered around our missions and our values. So again, choose whichever application you prefer, but do know that there are over 150 schools who are committed to supporting students' access to college education, having a responsible financial aid, and again, providing strong opportunities for our students to be successful in their lives after their time at our university. In terms of the number of applications that you can use with either platform, the Common application does have a limit. You can only apply to a maximum of 20 schools utilizing the Common application. For the coalition application, it is unlimited. And again, the coalition application does feature an online portal, which allows you again to enter in all of your courses. So self-reporting, like many of us talked about. And it of course has that locker where you're able to save things. So even if you aren't necessarily using them to apply to college, and you kind of want to use your locker like a drive of sorts to keep digital track of items, you are able to do that. But please do know, Common or Coalition application, they have very, very similar essay prompts that are available online for you to look at before you complete either application or portal. They are accepted by all 8 Ivy League schools. And again, you have your own individual portal that you can log into and utilize the many free resources that they have. But I'll turn it over to my colleagues to continue talking about some of the other tips about the coalition application.
Thanks, Emma. So you might be swimming in your head, like thinking this is a lot of information. I don't know which application I want to fill out. And that's okay. So that's part of why we wanted to give you a little bit more information about the coalition. So let's talk about some of the top benefits to keep in mind. Like Emma said, at the end of the day, you're gonna fill out the application that works best for you. But what I would do if I were you is to sit down and figure out what the benefits are of each one. And then once you make that list, I think it'll make it easier to select how you're going to apply to those schools. Mainly, obviously, looking at your list of schools and seeing, are they members of these organizations? So that it makes it a little bit more streamlined if all the schools you're interested in are. So some top benefits, you know, starting the college conversation and getting information about schools much earlier. Emma mentioned that profile all the way from 9th to 12th grade when you can start to put your courses in and that sort of thing. So keeping track of those things. Once you start to do that, you'll have access to the colleges and universities in your portal. So you'll have access to some of that information a lot earlier. You know, tracking stuff you've done throughout high school. What we end up having a lot of times is students, by the time they get to their senior year, and it's time to sit down and write out a resume, they're like, wait a minute, what did I do in 9th grade again? What did I do in 10th grade again? So if you're starting early, this is great because as long as you have that login, you can go back to it. You don't have to worry about the information, you know, disappearing on you. Easy access to information. The portal itself is easy to use. You guys are way more intuitive sometimes than we are, but easy access to that information. And really just an empowerment to take ownership of the college search process. You taking ownership of that and you sort of controlling that journey is a big benefit. A single platform, right? So the plan, build, and organize. So you don't have all these compartments that you have to keep things in. It's one platform. And you can keep logging in from 9th grade to 10th grade and 11th grade. And of course, there's always going to be some fabulous updates. That's what technology provides. But at least it's one place and one platform for you to sort of organize that. You can receive additional support too from your counselors, you know, and your teachers and mentors. I mean, they have access. The access that you have is something that they will be familiar with. And so getting support from them will be also, I think, important benefit. And then really one of the coolest things is the ability to build a list of affordable schools. I mean, at the end of the day, we know it's about an investment, right? And sometimes it's a significant investment. And if you're looking to try to figure out some of the schools that you really want to go to, but are not as affordable as you think they are, this is a great place to start because, again, that commitment, we've all put in that commitment to making it affordable to our institutions. Easy access to fee waivers is something that's another benefit. And then that confidence that if admitted to any coalition school, you will be offered a responsible financial aid package. Again, I hate to say it, we've all committed to that. And that's how we became members. And so to know that in the back of your head, I think is a kind of a peace of mind of like, okay, I know these schools are definitely committed to that. So I can build that list and work from there. And then coalition schools can be trusted to meet, you know, the commitment to access and outcomes. Those outcomes we talked about, those statistics, those are hard facts. I mean, you can go on our websites and check out our fact books or institutional research. Those are hard facts that we had to show in order to become members. So you can have that assurance to know that our commitment is not just to access and affordability, but to also career success and outcomes. So again, some top benefits to keep in mind, but the best thing for you to do is sort of to sit down, take some time and figure out what's gonna work best for you. I'll go ahead and turn it, sorry, have you go ahead and turn it back over to Hannah to give you some sort of final tips.
All right, so just a few more things we want to touch on while talking about the coalition application. The best place for you to start is to start with your profile. So really, you're not able to go on and complete institution-specific applications or the rest of it until you have that profile completed. So really, for any senior here that's joining us, that's the best place for you to start to really kind of work on some of that, you know, biographical information, that basic information that's going to be required for every single application you're going to complete. Second thing, ask your counselor for, or get it online somehow, an unofficial copy of your transcript so you can answer those questions about your coursework from 9th through 11th grades. It's so much easier just to take it from a piece of paper or online and transcribe it into the Coalition portal versus trying to think back again, that same question that Shani was talking about, what were my grades for my 9th year courses? So that way you have it exactly down so you know you're putting it in accurately. So putting that information in accurately is always important to do. And again, like I said, your profile has to be complete before you can move on. So if you are thinking you want to submit an application through Coalition to one of our schools or another, now would be a good time to start working on that profile and at least getting that basic information in there. And again, review it, enter it, take a step back, come back to it a day or two later and review it yourself. Have a parent or someone come and review it for you just to make sure you're free of typos and it's all entered accurately into the system. All right, and one last tip, and really a very important one at this, is once you hit submit through Coalition, don't automatically think that you are 100% good to go. I always encourage everyone to make sure you're following up with each institution you're applying to make sure that you've done everything you need to do, that there's no extra, miscellaneous items you might need to complete before that application is fully complete. Okay, so make sure you're checking your spam folders to make sure you're not missing out on any emails. I encourage you to touch base with every college you've applied to a day or two after you submitted that application, just to make sure you've checked all your bases and you're good to go. And very often, for instance, with Illinois, we're not going to notify you of your admission decision through Coalition. We're going to notify you of it through another portal, even if you did apply to us through Coalition. So again, it's always good to just follow up with those schools to make sure you've done everything that you need to do to have a fully completed application. But again, Coalition is a great place to do all of this, to apply to multiple schools all at one time. All right. And that, I believe, is all we have within our presentation today. I see we have one question in the chat here to answer. If we want to answer that out loud or send a response.
Yeah, I'm fine with answering it live. So the question we got, is there a list of colleges that are Coalition schools, or how do we find out if a college is a Coalition school? That is a great question. So the Coalition for College does have a website. It's essentially coalitionforcollegeaccess.org, O-R-G. And once you go there, you'll be able to click on the area that says Our Members, and it will give you an entire listing of all the schools that are Coalition schools. The really cool thing, like we talked about with building your list, even if a school is not a Coalition school and you put them on your list, they will pull information for that school's website so that you're able to go directly to that school's website from your list and learn more about them. So all of the colleges that are members do have pages where they put all the details about themselves and their resources, scholarships, financial aid, and things like that in their member page. But outside of that, you can still put non-Coalition schools on your list and be directed to their correct website for you to do some additional research. So feel free, of course, to, again, utilize that Q&A feature at the bottom to ask any questions that you might have. Shawnee, I see we have a question here. You shared that Maryville has been test optional for 5 years. Could you share a little bit more about what it means to be test optional in your admission process?
Sure. So when we made the decision to go test optional, we felt like it wasn't, at our point, based on our research and our students, wasn't the best predictor of success at Maryville. So, but for us, what test optional means is that the student gets to choose, right? So it's an option. If a student, because we have students who really truly feel like the standardized test they take is an accurate reflection of their academic ability. So we decided to make it the student choice. So if you choose to send your test score in because you do feel like it has, it reflects you academically, then that's to us another component of your profile that you choose to submit. In our admission and scholarship process, we, especially in our scholarship process, we award scholarships based on GPA or test scores. So sometimes a student's test score will qualify them for a scholarship, a higher scholarship than their GPA will. So again, that just puts the choice back into the student to say, hey, if this is something you felt like you did really well on and it will benefit you, submit it. If not, then you don't have to worry about it. So that's for Maryville. Test optional really is about student choice and about a student making a decision on whether that truly reflects who they are academically.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I see Hannah, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else there in terms of what it means to be test optional for you, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Shani said it very well, at least for how we are perceiving that. And again, this is our first year of doing this, but that key thing of if you think it accurately reflects your ability, then please send it. Otherwise, you will be at no disadvantage for admission this year if you do not choose to submit a test score. So again, it is completely up to you as a student whether or not you choose to do so. But I think Shani said it very well with her answer about being test optional.
Yes, I completely agree. My favorite word is ditto right now. So ditto for WashU. Again, not required, but if you have it, please feel free to share. It looks like we got another question. Which colleges offer accounting and business related fields? Hannah, would you like to kick us off there?
I can find my unmute button. So yes, I can get us kicked off here. So here at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, we do have a variety of accounting and business programs ranging from anything from accounting to personal finance to economics to, there's quite a few across our many colleges that we have here at Illinois. The best place to start your search if you are interested in business at Illinois is our Geese College of Business. But I always just encourage students to make sure they're checking out all of our majors across our academic programs, as only about half of our business related programs are actually located within our Geese College of Business. So again, a great place to start your search, but encouraging you to search all across the majors we offer. There are over 150 programs at Illinois that might be of interest to you across our other various colleges.
I can answer for WashU and then let Shani answer for Maryville. We do have an Olin Business School. It is a direct entry. All of our academic divisions are, so you can immediately start taking classes in your area of interest. But we do have a business school that does offer things like accounting, finance, economics, and we have some cool minors like business of sports, business of arts, as well as a cool major called healthcare management. So there are a lot of opportunities within our Olin Business School, which you can apply directly to as a first-year student.
And like the others, Maryville University also offers in our John E. Simon School of Business a variety of business majors, everything ranging from business administration to accounting information systems, sport business management, and a variety of different business fields that you can imagine. So our website, our website is probably the best way to find out exactly what programs we offer and to find out more information about those programs.
Yes. Awesome. We did get another question to everyone. What is most appealing about the city that you're located in? Shani, would you like to start and kick us off?
Yeah, so Em and I are both located our schools are located in the St. Louis metropolitan area. But uniquely enough, we're located in two different parts of St. Louis that offer different unique aspects to St. Louis. So Maryville University is in a suburb of St. Louis. We're about 20 minutes west of the downtown area. So we are considered a suburban. You have your urban institutions, some of your rural institutions, and suburban. We're considered a suburban institution. So what's great about being in the suburbs is obviously you're away from all the traffic and the congestion and all that good stuff, and maybe a little bit more quiet, just kind of depending on what your experience you want it to be. But the great part about being in St. Louis itself, regardless of whether you're in the city or you're in the suburbs, is just really access to all of the what we like to call our outdoor backyard. So as a student, you're going to be involved in more than your classroom experience, we hope. So we want you to get out in St. Louis and explore. And there's a lot of different things to explore in St. Louis. It is, I think, the 18th largest metropolitan city in the country. So everything you can imagine that you could get in a large metropolitan city, you're going to get. And then one last fun fact about St. Louis is St. Louis offers the most free visitor attractions, actually only second to like the DC area. So if you're looking for, as a college student, cheap, affordable, free activities, St. Louis is awesome. We still have a free zoo for those of you who are from Chicago or from New York or California. But that's just one example. So it's a great city. I like to call it, I'm from Chicago, I like to call it a small city in a big town, because it's like a big city feeling, but a small town sort of network and friendliness and stuff like that. So I think St. Louis is great. And I'll kick it over to Emma, because she's in a different part of St. Louis than we are, and offers some really unique, different cultural opportunities where WashU is located.
Yes, absolutely. I too, the irony, am originally from Chicago, Illinois as well. Shani couldn't have said it better. I love the fact that there's just so many free things that you can take advantage of. Where our campus is located, it kind of straddles the best of both worlds. There's a portion of our campus that is in the city of St. Louis, but the rest of it is in the suburbs, if you will. But the nice part about it, and just where we're located, we really think of Forest Park as our front yard. Forest Park is a little bit larger than New York City Central Park, but it does contain our science centers, our zoos, our botanical gardens. Again, tons of free amenities. In this time where we are socially distanced and distancing ourselves, it's been amazing to know that Forest Park is just right there and available to us, as well as many of all the great residents in the greater St. Louis area, in terms of the pathways and the bikeways for you to take advantage of. And also just where we are situated, we're about 7 miles east of downtown St. Louis. So if you ever wanted to catch a Cards baseball game or watch the Blues, and where our campus is situated, you could actually take a train from our campus in about 2 or 3 stops and be in downtown St. Louis. So we're really in a kind of the best of both worlds in terms of being pretty close to the city, but still a little bit removed, but still very close to a lot of the free icons and attractions, including some of the things that you might have heard about in the Del Mar Loop, whether it's that St. Louis Walk of Fame there and all the stars out there, or the several concert venues, bowling, music, shopping, you name it, there's a lot to do. I just love the fact that even within this area, there's over 300 restaurants within like 3 square miles of our campus that you can just really explore some unique and great cuisine. And so I'm always trying to find something that is specific to St. Louis when my family and friends come to visit that they can't get anywhere else. That's how I incentivize them to come and see me more often. But ultimately, you're in for some good eats and some good free fun time.
All right, and so kind of to round it out, for the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, we are not in St. Louis, we are in Champaign-Urbana. So for reference, if you've never been before, if you would draw lines to connect St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Chicago, we're kind of right in the midpoint of those 3 cities. So about 3 hours on the nose from here to St. Louis. I've made the drive many times, and it's almost on the nose about 3 hours, just for perspective, here in East Central Illinois. So kind of different. Champaign-Urbana is its community in itself. People coin it as a micro-urban community, so take that as you will. But again, kind of the same of what you were both saying, you know, best of both worlds. It's by no means a large city, but it still has quite a bit to offer as a campus and as a community to students. So we are a Big Ten campus, so it's a large student body population that we have here on campus, and many events to do all throughout the year on our campus and out in the community as well. It's a very supportive community and very much in a lot of senses one of the same. So whether you want to cheer on one of our 19 Division I sporting teams or go to our Krannert Center for Performing Arts. Unfortunately, they're not doing any shows this fall, but hopefully in the spring we'll be able to bring those back. And a great, pretty cost-effective activity for everyone as well. There's some really incredible acts that come from all over the US to perform there. And as a student, the ticket prices are no more than $5. So a great resource. It's a very accessible town to get around as well. So you never need to worry about a car. It's very accessible by bike pass. We are in East Central Illinois, so I always like to make the joke that it is flat as a pancake and there will never be an uphill battle. So if you like to bike, bring your bike with you, because that's a really great way to get around, and all the bike paths across campus and in the community. The bus system works very efficiently as well, and again, a free resource to you. So a lot to explore, but very much a community in itself here in East Central Illinois.
Awesome. You see that we did get another question here, and I know you talked about Illinois requiring students to self-report their grades, and that's something new for WashU. I know you guys have been doing that for about 10 years or more now. Could you share a little bit more about how that either came about or what a student could expect, and like how much time would that take?
It's a great question. We get that question a lot. So it is Tedious, yes, it is, but it is helpful because to us it looks the exact same. So when we're reviewing student coursework, it looks the exact same to us. We won't need or look at an official copy of your high school transcript if you send it to us when you apply. We just ask that you self-report it all within the application. So your classes and grades from years 9 through 11 and your courses in progress from your senior year. So instead of just looking at a GPA, what we do in our office is we look at all of the classes you've taken, the rigor associated with those classes. So when I say rigor, I mean things like AP classes, honors classes, dual credit, IB curriculum, essentially whatever is offered at your high school. Okay, so we hope you're taking advantage of some of those rigorous courses, as that's really what's going to help best prepare you for the types of classes you're going to have here on our campus. And we'll look at your grades as well. So it is tedious, but again, like we talked about earlier, if you have a copy sitting next to you of your transcript from high school, it shouldn't really take you more than 20 or so minutes to just transcribe it in. I think what's difficult is when you're trying to recall everything from memory and trying to put it in that way, and that will definitely take you some more time. So as long as you have it sitting next to you, once you get the rhythm after a course or two, it's pretty easy to put into the system. I will say, even though you're self-reporting it, we will review all of your coursework on your transcript if you apply, are admitted, and choose to enroll at Illinois. So just something to note is that it is reviewed. So you send us a transcript after you graduated from high school with all your grades, your graduation date, and in our office, we'll review all of that information over the summer. So it is reviewed. It just is saved later in the year, and it also saves us a lot of paper. So a lot less transcripts getting sent to our office that way. So I'm not sure if that's the same, Emma, for you, or if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, ditto. Pretty much the same for us. So we are asking students to self-report their grades this year in their courses. And again, that senior year schedule. We know that you won't have grades typically right when you begin to apply, just based on some of our dates and deadlines. But we do want to know what classes you are signed up for. And for students who choose to go through one of our early decision options as a pathway to WashU, we will ask for your first quarter grades or mid-year grades as a part of that review process. We have time for a few more questions, but I did want to ask for students who are able to submit test scores, do you allow students to self-report their test scores, or do you super score? And feel free to expand upon the definition of either one of those things.
Sure. Shani, do you want to go ahead with this one?
Well, ours is easy. So we don't super score. If you do submit a test score, the two ways that we consider it official, we don't accept self-reported test scores. So the two ways for us is either on your transcript, we do consider that official, it's on your transcript, and also from the testing agency.
And I can answer for WashU. We do super score. So super score just simply means if you took the exam more than once, we'll look at your individual subscores and put them together, the highest ones, to come up with a new overall composite or your super score. And we do allow students to self-report their transcripts, of course, but their testing. And so when you self-report it, that means you are sharing it in the application. And you only have to send us an official score report if you are admitted and plan to enroll and attend classes at WashU.
All right, and to round up this question, we kind of have a hybrid at Illinois of what Shani and Emma both do at their respective institutions. So here at Illinois, you can self-report your test scores on your application. Let's say when you took the exam, you had Illinois be one of your free score sends to have it automatically sent to us. That's great, we have it. Otherwise, there's no need for you to pay additional money to have your scores sent now to us. You can just self-report them on the application. So again, it looks the exact same, but the same thing with your transcripts. We don't want them now, but if you choose to enroll, we will need that official copy of your score later on. Different than WashU, you can self-report if you somehow were able to take more than one exam this year or within the past year. We will look at your highest scores, even if they come from different tests, but we will not super score and create a new composite for you. So again, this is just this is a good example really to show that it's just important to know kind of every school's individual policies, because again, we are all similar within this, but the intricacies do look a little different. So I just encourage you to make sure you're reaching out to each of your schools to make sure you know exactly what that means at each respective institution. I will also say that we do accept both ACT and SAT. So If you did better in the EBRW section on the SAT, but better on math on the ACT, fantastic. We'll look at both of those highest scores. We just won't create a new super score for you within that.
And we don't super score across exams. So ACT with ACT, SAT with SAT. So we are coming upon our final minute here, but thank you guys so much for allowing us to speak with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to jump back on to just say a quick thank you to everyone who hung with us for the 45 minutes and to our amazing presenters. The panel was great. Just real quick, as you log out, you'll get a quick survey. We'd love your feedback. You can definitely sign up for more sessions, and you can look for a recording of this and other sessions as well on the website. Thanks, everybody.